How pathetic can some people be?
Our portion sizes. You ever travel to Europe? They don't give you anything. They don't give you anything. In America, they give you, they bring you, you need some more food. We're the only country that, I just read this statistic, this is unbelievable. America's pets, 30% of our pets are overweight. Everybody knows we have a child obesity problem, which is a real serious problem. We have a pet obesity problem. You're 30% of it. You know anybody who's got like a fat cat or dog? That's crazy when half the world is starving. We have cats that are like... We have dogs and cats that... And you know that it's literally happened that a fat dog or a cat has been sitting there fat and the TV comes on and Christian was talking about those, third world country, the kids you sponsor. You know that D-list celebrity comes on like, please, for 15 cents a day. And literally this is happening. There's a giant animal going, I'm not going to act out what the animal's thinking because that would be too contrived, but it's not contrived to imagine that a fat animal is in front of a TV. Think about it. Right now in America, there's a giant animal sitting there going,
Dumbass of the day. 93.3 KZOZ.
Ryan Boylan lives in Clearwater Beach, Florida. He rescued a squirrel after a storm rocked Florida last year. This isn't one of the hurricanes that has recently hit, but he's had this squirrel, Brutis, since 2016, and he quickly
named the squirrel.
Yeah, he named the squirrel, and he quickly fell in love with the squirrel.
This isn't going to be one of these weird, demented, sick things.
No. Okay. His doctor later wrote him a prescription for an emotional support animal after a car crash left him with several herniated discs in his lower back and PTSD. Okay,
for the squirrel,
Brutus, for the squirrel,
for Brutus.
But Boylan never notified his property manager in writing that Brutus was an emotional support animal until just recently. Once he did, he received a notice last month to either get rid of Brutus because exotic animals are not allowed, according to the Condo Association, or he would have to face eviction.
Don't squirrels live all over this complex? Up in the trees? Exotic?
I don't know. I'm not a...
I would say that a squirrel is the last thing from
I'm not
exotic.
a Clearwater Beach resident, but squirrels are pretty much everywhere, yes.
So what you're saying is they want him to get rid of the squirrel because...
It is not to live inside.
Even though they live outside. Okay.
He is now... Ryan Boylan has now contacted the Pinellas County Office of Human Rights, claiming discrimination against him because...
Well, he's got that note from the doctor.
Of his animal, and the note from the doctor to have a emotional support animal. He rescued this squirrel during Hurricane Matthew. Now,
I wonder what the squirrel does. Does the squirrel live in a cage?
There's a video.
Does he run around?
There's a video over on the KZOZ.com if you want to peep what the squirrel does. He just walks around the apartment eating nuts.
So he's free. He's not on a leash or anything.
Yeah, he does. He runs
he poops
like a ferret. See, that's my thing.
Can you potty train a squirrel?
I don't know.
Because those are going to be small, like rabbits, It's small.
Have you ever seen the postings for, like on Craigslist for places that allow pets? And they say cats are allowed, but dogs are not.
Well, yeah, you see that all the time.
Why do you see that all the time?
Or small dogs are allowed. That's it. Because people are afraid of big dogs. They're afraid of dogs. And the funny thing is, if a cat pees in your house, you're never getting that smell out.
Like that is
remember when the cat peed in my boat? I had to get rid of the seat. It's outside.
I don't know what kind of deal that cats struck up with the devil to be the approved pet of choice by landlords across the nation, but they are more widely accepted than any other pet. And I think about now, I'm not sure what a squirrel does, but if he's got his squirrel in check, okay, I think about if I was a property owner and I allowed pets, I would want the least menacing pet.
Right.
like you illustrated with the cat piss, okay? It is the most menacing pet
Can't get rid of it.
damage a property. The smell of cat urine is terrible and does not come out no matter how hard you try. Surf Pro, maybe, would be able to.
I don't know. That's still even.
To get the, and maybe, I say maybe.
And I went online and I found that, use peroxide and baking powder and, all these, and distilled white vinegar, and you make this concoction. And
Yeah, you had this happen to your boat recently.
Yeah, I spent over probably 12 to 14 hours.
It's probably not good for
And
fishing.
I finally just got rid of the seat. Now I'm one seat down. I have to get another seat. My co-pilot seat gone.
I just use a milk crate. I've been in boats. I've been in boats that have done that before.
That's true, right? It was a milk crate and a life jacket set on it. But what's a squirrel weigh? A pound? 2 pounds?
No, if that.
Maybe a fat one weighs 3 pounds?
If that.
Yeah. And the thing is, the squirrels are all over the outside of the complex,
Right.
obviously, because that's where he came from. So to me, this seems silly. And it seems like you've got either a landlord or a property manager that is just way out of his league here, and he wants to try to show that he's got some sort of importance
That's
in
what
this
this
world.
is, a power trip, right? This
Yeah.
comes down to a power trip, because is this squirrel really harming anyone?
Is the neighbors complaining? Are the neighbors upset about this? Or is it just this property manager?
It is from what I can gather from the story, it is within the policy of the Condos Owners Association not to have exotic pets.
Exotic is not a squirrel.
The funny thing is, you probably walk outside the door, there's probably alligators, because it's Florida.
Right.
There's probably alligators walking within 100 yards of the condos.
Why don't you do something about that instead of worrying about this guy with the squirrel?
Bigger animals to fry on this one.
I feel bad for this guy.
No, I do too.
He seems kind of like a loser. He's got to have a support animal like a squirrel.
Hey.
Well, he's got a lot going
Not
against
everybody.
him.
He has a car accident. He suffers from PTSD and has several herniated discs in his lower back. Maybe
PTSD is when you go and you fight in a war and you watch your friends die or get maimed or yourself.
People-
It's not when you get in a car accident.
people have suffered post-traumatic stress disorder from car accidents.
I guess.
And he has several herniated discs in his lower back. Who knows? Maybe
Tough life.
Brutus walks up and down his back, and that's the perfect amount of massage
Hey,
he
I'm
needs.
for him keeping the squirrel. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying the guy's.
A loser.
I feel bad for him.
You just
He's
called him a loser.
Kind of a loser, yeah.
Here is Ryan Boylan.
Ever since then, oh my God, I couldn't imagine not being around her.
Do you think that sounds like a loser?
Yeah, that's the definition, I think.
Or Buffalo?
He makes it sound like it's his girlfriend or his wife
Buffalo.
left him.
Or Buffalo Bill?
Ever since then, oh my God, I couldn't imagine not being around her.
I just
Can't imagine not rubbing the lotion on the skin. On the fur.
see that big fat girl?
He had to basically push every single limitation that he could to try to get me out because of Brutus.
He's talking about the condo guy that is giving him a rash of
Oh, the condo board supervisor member, whatever.
the guy
president of
that
the board.
we have deemed as on a power trip.
Yeah.
We're asking you the question this morning. What is the weirdest pet that you ever had?
No weird pets for me. Unless a gerbil. When I was a kid.
You had a gerbil?
I was it a guinea pig or a gerbil? I think it was a guinea pig.
I didn't have it.
I think, I don't know what the difference between the two
I think
are.
guinea pig is fatter.
Okay, I think we had Barney and we had Tattoo because I loved Fantasy Island. And we had this little black and white
He would go.
gerbil or guinea pig, and his name was Tattoo.
You would say, "Boss, the plane."
Yes, Boss the Plane. And loved him. He was.
Why was the other one named Barney?
I don't know. I don't remember naming him. I remember naming Tattoo, and I think my brother or my mom named the other one Barney. He was a brown one. And Barney died, and we just had Tattoo for a while. And then all of a sudden, they said Tattoo moved, which I'm thinking meant he died. He moved somewhere else. We had a couple of rabbits. You can potty train a rabbit. We had a rabbit that ran around the house. He had a potty box, and just like a cat box, it was. He would go in there and he would do his business, and then he would run around the house, and him and the cat would chase each other. It was pretty funny.
The rabbit was house trained?
Yeah, the
You've
rabbit
had
was-
some exotic animals.
So that's it.
I
That's
consider
exotic.
anything outside of
Cat and dog.
cat and dog to be exotic.
Bird. We had a bird.
Yeah, I think that's exotic.
We had a parrot named Jake. We found out later he was a Jackie.
Oh, how?
I don't know.
How'd you mess that one up?
I don't know. I was pretty young. I just remember my mom saying that. Hey, yeah, we had those birds.
Jakealina?
And Jake was actually a Jackie. Jason's on the line. Go ahead, man.
Well, when I was living up in Oregon, I inherited a 6-foot-long iguana.
See, that's cool. I've always thought an iguana would be cool.
It was crazy. It was my buddy, one of my roommates, and then he moved, and he's like, hey, you want to take care of Ed? And I was like, well, all right, I'll give it a shot.
I love when people name their pets like after humans. Like I have a friend who has a dog. Their dog's name is Brad, and I had a friend that was having like a barbecue, and they're like, "Hey, do you mind if Brad comes?" They're like, "Yeah, bring Brad." And I get there, and he's like,
"Sure, more the merrier."
Brad's a dog, good dog though, so it's fine. Did you ever dress up the iguana?
No.
Oh, see, no spike collar.
No, it had its own spike collar. I mean, it was cool. It was a cool pet for a while. I mean, you'd be able to feed it cantaloupe, stuff like that.
For a while, what happened after you inherited it?
He ate it.
Well, I think it went into some sort of mating because we moved. My roommate and I moved to another apartment. Not the guy that I got the iguana from, but this thing started chasing me around my apartment one time. I mean, like you seen a Gila monster run?
Yeah.
That's how fast these things are.
How fast? Like,
I'm not even joking.
Like if it was like in slow motion, like sand would have been kicking up behind him, sand granules.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Like I mean, this thing got out in Oregon one time for a month and survived and came back. And my neighbor's like, "Hey, your lizard's out on your lawn." And I'm like, "It's back." I'm all, Ed's back. So I had these like leather welding gloves that I'd put on to pick him up when he was after a excursion like that, because he'd be a little extra crazy. But it's got to the point where I had to let somebody else have the pleasure of buying him from me.
Wait, hold on. You got it for free and you sold it? You flipped the iguana?
Flipped it.
How much did you flip it for?
$100 cash profit.
Nice.
That's pretty
good.
Good
work.
Yeah.
Good work.
In '93.
Very good.
And I warned him too. I said, "Hey, this thing's a little aggressive right now."
Yeah, he's gonna go all Gila monster on you.
Oh, it would see its reflection in the little mirror below your TV on your little TV stand and just charge it and just start ramming it, hiss at it. And
oh my God, why would you get rid of something that's amazing?
That's actually kind of a good pet to have in college, because in college you're either drinking or smoking weed, and you just sit there and watch it for hours. It's like free entertainment.
No, we came back from the Grateful Dead show at Austin Stadium, and we were getting a little too close. And then what those things will do when you get too close and they get pissed, they'll slap you in the head with their tail.
Oh, God.
And
that's funny.
Yeah, let me tell you, having an iguana slap you in the head when you're got some magic mushrooms in your system, that's quite the experience.
Did the thing ever try to bite you?
Never bit me, but it bit its original owner. It took a big chunk out of his leg one time.
Gosh.
Oh, jeez. Wow. I didn't know they had big, sharp teeth. They always seem so docile. They just kind of sit there.
Yeah, because when you see them, they're pets.
Yeah, this thing got so big, we had a terrarium, probably a 4-foot by 2-foot long fish tank, basically, but we had the top, and we had to put a huge cinder block on it to keep it from pushing its way out. It got so strong. I mean, I was legitimately scared of the thing when it was chasing me around my apartment.
Got the best piece of news from my father this past summer. Many summers ago, I visited him for the first time in like 10 years, and he had acquired a bird, and the bird was called Nicky Bird. And you go, Nicky Bird, Nicky Bird, Nicky Bird, the most annoying bird on the planet, because this bird would just say, Nicky Bird.
Like a parrot?
No, it was some kind of weird
cockatoo or
no, I don't know. It was some South American.
What color was it?
White.
Okay.
And it would just go, Nicky Bird, Nicky Bird, Nicky Bird, Nicky Bird. And that's the only, you couldn't train it to say something else. That was the only thing it would say.
Okay.
Nicky Bird, Nicky Bird, Nicky Bird. And I'd go visit him, and I'd try to have a conversation with my dad, and then this damn bird would be interrupting all the time. Nicky Bird, Nicky Bird, Nicky Bird. I'm like, dude. And he told me 3 summers ago, he goes, Yeah, I figure, when I pass, I'll go ahead and I asked him, I said, how long these birds typically
They can live a long time.
Typically
How live
live.
humans sometimes.
He said 60 years is the average lifespan of this bird. And he says, but you know what? When I pass, you can go ahead and you'll inherit this Nicky bird. And I was like, I better not. This last summer, I went to visit him. I'm like, hey, what happened to Nicky bird? Nicky bird had perished.
Oh, he didn't make it to 60.
Well before his time. Thank the gods.
You don't have to take Nicky bird.
Thank the gods I don't have Nicky bird. Because I don't know what I would do. Do you respect the wishes of your dad? It's your dad, for God's sakes. He's like, I want you to have this bird. I don't want anything to do with a bird. Like Jason said, he inherited the
iguana,
the 6-foot iguana. I'd be like, I don't want your 6-foot iguana. What do you do with it?
And birds are messy. Like, you have to feed them a bunch of different stuff, like fruit and then seeds. You're always having to clean up because they're always throwing crap everywhere.
I wanted a dog,
floors.
and I got 2 birds instead. When I was a kid, they said, "Well, let's give you 2 birds. He just wants a pet." They tried to, I asked for the red sports car, and they gave me the Geo Metro, yeah. And I'm like, what birds? What am I going to do with these birds? And they would flick seed all over my room and stuff like that. So then, eventually, in my 6th grade wisdom, I was like, I don't want to feed these birds anymore because they're flicking bird seed all over my room. So I stopped feeding them, and one of them died. It laid there.
Oh, that's horrible. You starved the poor bird?
It was laying there at the bottom of the cage. And I felt bad at that point in time. I was like, oh my gosh. And I poured some seed, and I poured it like a big pile of seed right next to his head. I was like, come on, wake up, dude. Wake up. Wake up. I was saying, I was 12 years old. Wake up, dude. Wake up. Come on, eat this bird seed. He never came to.
Yeah, you starved him to death.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The other bird passed of a broken heart shortly thereafter.
Oh, I could hear. Okay,
because they were buddies.
Yeah, and now they're
And
more birds for you.
He probably saw that the food situation wasn't that great. And you imagine if you're a dude's roommate and he decides him and his girlfriend get a little crazy one night, and they're like, okay, we're going to let the boa constrictor out and take care of this possum once and for all. We're going to keep the cats in the bedroom with us.
Yeah, I'll be at a motel.
And you wake up in the morning to a boa constrictor strangling a possum
at the foot of your bed.
At that point in time, that's when you realize I've got to find a new place to live.
Yeah.
I can't live with these snake people.
I got a snake, man.
Yeah, I could not live with people that have snakes.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.